So welcome. This is our 6th annual Acumatica Virtual Developer Conference. I'm Mark Franks, and I'm here with Ali Jani, our Chief Product Officer. Say hello, Ali.
Welcome, everybody, and super to be here, Mark. Thank you for hosting me.
Absolutely. So let's get started with the agenda. So I'll give a big shout out here in a moment, but we'll just go over what you can expect today and tomorrow in terms of the sessions that we have. And I'll give you a developer update, developer community update. A lot of things have happened over the last year since we last had this virtual developer conference, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And then Ali will give a product technology update, and then we'll start with our first session. So remember, on social media, if you use the hashtag #CloudXRP please post any comments that you have about the developer conference, anything that excites you about it, that you want to share with others. It would be nice if you could do that on Twitter. And just so you know, if you don't, all the developer materials that we have for the developer conference will be posted to our Acumatica DevCon landing page, which you see the URL at the bottom of the screen there. So first of all, every year our sponsors step up, and we get about 12 sponsors every year. So just a big shout out and appreciation for our Virtual DevCon sponsors this year. A big thank you for that. I appreciate that. Today, last year we had a one-day Virtual DevCon back in March because of COVID. The couple years before that we've had 1 or 2 days, but we decided to have a 2-day conference this time because we wanted to focus day one on the fundamentals. That's really the theme today. And every major conference, whether it's at Summit during the Dev Track or at our virtual developer conference, we always have the same 2 presentations. That's the framework fundamentals session, and this year Nyan will be presenting this material, and then the web services or an API session that Samuel presents every year. We'll follow that up with essentially a 2-hour session broken up into part 1 and part 2. And in part 1, Sergey will be going over Acumator and some Visual Studio fundamentals, how you can use Visual Studio with Acumatica and the framework, and some tips and tricks around that, and other kind of third-party developer tools. In the second part, we actually have, you see Evgeny there on the screen, but we actually have 3 presenters. We have Rishika Sharma, Varthini Bhaskaran, and of course Evgeny again. So Varthini will be going over for about 15 minutes Postman tips and tricks. Rishika will be covering Acumatica-specific developer tools. She'll talk about debugging, system health, and performance monitoring. And then Evgeny will talk about deployment and maintenance best practices. So that's today. Now, you can probably expect us to go a little over in part 1 and part 2, but approximately we'll have a break on the hour. So we'll have our first break in an hour and a half from now after Nyan presents, and then we'll have a break after Samuel, and then in between parts 1 and 2. And then tomorrow I'll just do a short little recap and give you some more information. Then Gabriel will kick it off with his continuous integration and deployment presentation. He did this at Summit, but he's updated this presentation, and it was our most popular presentation at Summit this year. So we thought it'd be great to have him come back and represent that information to a broader audience. And then we'll have Doug Johnson join us with Alex Nevzivsky from our platform development team, and they'll talk about our workflow system, if you will. And then Dmitry Namov, who hopefully most of you know, he's been doing presentations for us for over 6-7 years, and he's going to do a presentation that I really have a lot of love for, and we haven't done for about 3 years, and that's on performance optimization best practices. So I'm really looking forward to Dimitri's presentation. And then every year what we do is we have Mike, one of our founders, kind of the last leg of our little race here, doing our developer roadmap. So he'll update the roadmap that he gave at Summit. So now I move into talking about our developer community, which I'm really proud to be part of. We've been building this community for over the past 6 years, and what I wanted to kind of emphasize here, I put in the picture of a couple of years ago, the hackathon winning team, and you can see them hoisting up the actual silver cup, and you can see in the front the etchings, and every year, whether it's our internal or external at the Summit Hackathon, we always print the team name and then the members winning it. And so, like the Stanley Cup, we'll keep adding as we go around each particular side. We'll add another block, and those names will be etched in perpetuity. But what I really want you to notice is the joy. Obviously, when you win, you're pretty happy, but this really represents the community and their commitment to producing great work for us and sharing that work, either through a hackathon, through blog posts, through doing open source work, sharing code, and so forth. I'm just really proud of the work that our developer community has done for us and for Acumatica. A visual representation, and I try to I give this and ask the executives when they're talking to people about our developer community. This gives a nice representation. We have a Venn diagram and some bubbles around the edges of it, but it really, I think, focuses on what we're trying to do with the developer community. Obviously, it's about engagement as much as we can, and we do that through various platforms, our developer forums that we have, whether it's on Stack Overflow, where you can ask questions and get answers to. We also have a relatively new developer community up on Acumatica Communities, where you can ask questions and get information from. Sorry, my Apple Watch thought I was talking to it. And that's an important aspect, to be able to get information quickly on any problems that you have. The other aspect is really learning and building things together. The technical learning that we really have an awesome education platform, Open University, and we have a department of several technical writers that work with our development team to produce really top-notch courses that we have. Not only courses for the end user and partners and consultants, but we really have some great technical developer training that I hope you've taken advantage of, the T100, T200, and other developer-focused training. The other thing that I wanted to point out is how we share code in our community repositories. We have 62 active repositories on GitHub that you can get code, you can contribute to projects, even like Acumatica, for instance, which is up on GitHub. We even had a developer MVP help contribute, a couple of them actually, contribute to Acumatica directly with our developer team up on GitHub. So I really encourage you to have a GitHub account, check out the repositories, anything that's missing you want to add, you can contribute there. And then one of the, I think, most valuable things that we do, and one of the things that we encourage all of you to do, is to come to Summit and get there a couple days early and participate in our annual hackathon. It really gives you a chance to work with other developers, not just Acumatica developers, but we often send our developers from the platform team and other teams to help participate and act as the Acumatica subject experts. And there's really no way, and I would say none of our competitors really integrate our developer community with our engineering as much as Acumatica does. And I'm really proud of that and thankful that we have an engineering team that really cares about our developer community and interacts with them as much as possible. And then the last thing, and I'll be talking about that in the slides, is really our community heroes, or what we call our developer MVPs, who really do a lot of great things for us. And here gives you an idea of who they are. We have 28 or 29 of these developer MVPs that have joined us throughout the years, and this gives you the face of those. And we have a developer spotlight webpage up on acumatica.com/developers, and you can read about what they do, who they work for, what really drives them around their passion and so forth. So I just wanted to give a face and a shout out. I'm pretty sure about 90 to 99% of the individuals you see on the screen here are actually watching this presentation and participating. Now, the other thing that we do besides recognize our developer MVPs is from that pool of MVPs, we recognize a Acumatica MVP developer who's kind of gone beyond what we've asked of them in terms of their commitments in the program. And this past year, Stefan Belanger from Asgard did a phenomenal job. Not only did he contribute blog posts, answered questions on Stack Overflow, he also helped re-architect one of our open source projects called Acumatica Surveys. And so he was recognized for that. Before that, we've had 4 other individuals that we've recognized. So, as I mentioned, some of the things that they've contributed, and you can see here on the right, you can see some of the blog posts that are relatively recent from May that you see up there, and you can see the individuals who've contributed blog posts and so forth. The other thing that we're trying to do is we noticed when we ran, our top 20 blog posts in terms of, who's been reading them. We found that there were some of our older blog posts. This one here on Fluent Bequel post that we had from 2018. We had one of our dev MVPs update that particular presentation and add some sample code and so forth. So we're undergoing, identifying some older content and updating that, and our MVPs are helping us with that. The other thing that our MVPs participate in is our copy and code program. Now, it's not really, doing webinars as much. You can see, or you may recognize, the Teams interface. So we invite our dev MVPs and also our internal developers to join us. We figure out different topics. And the idea behind this is to really have more of a casual conversation around various developer topics. And, we've produced 11 of those over the last year that you can have access to and view if you haven't done that. And in this slide, you can see the various episodes that we've had. The last one we did was with Cesar Betances on mobile development. We've done one on developer tools, which actually inspired the first 2 developer fundamentals session that we have today, because it was really a lot of people viewed that, and the feedback that we got, it was a great session. So we wanted to expand that and add that to our developer conference today. Now you can see some of the future episodes that we're looking at having, one on workflow, talk about low code, no code, and so on and so forth. And I try to have an executive join us on a quarterly basis. Joy joined us, I think, in the first quarter last year. Ali joined us just recently in the last few months, and we hope to have Mike join us in the next couple months. So I've been talking about the developer MVPs. Now let me just give you a little background on the developer program itself. One of the really nice benefits is we give a 100% discount to the Acumatica Summit every year. So we're trying to reduce the costs for you to come to the developer, to Summit and participate in the hackathon and the Summit. So we do that, so you can do that. We also, which is not listed up here, have a bi-monthly meeting where the developer MVPs do a Teams meeting. And the benefit of that really is it's a place where you can ask questions. You know, if you happen to have a problem that you're working on, you want to share with somebody, or you just discovered something really awesome that you want to share with other developers, you can do that a couple times a month. So that's a really nice benefit to the program, and you can read the rest of those. I won't go into the other aspects. Now, in terms of commitments or requirements of the program, you know, we're asking people to answer about 1.5 questions a month, either on Stack Overflow or our Acumatica community site, and a couple blog posts per year. And I even if you're not consider yourself a writer, I just ask people just throw me what you have. I act as your editor. I put a nice, pretty graphic on there. I integrate the code and do hopefully some of the work that you're not really interested in doing. And you know, I'll improve if you have any problems with it, so you don't have to worry about polishing it up and stuff. I do all that for you and publish it out on our website. The other thing, all those web posts that we have, those blog posts, almost each one of those have snippets of code that we post up on GitHub for developers to use, and so there's lots of contributions with sample code, including posting all the hackathon project source code as well. So if you're interested, we're still asking people who are interested in joining the program. You can just email me, and I'm willing, you know, obviously set some time, meet with you, and talk to you and your boss or anyone that has any interest in what the requirements are and so forth. I really encourage you to contact me if you're interested, because we'd really like to grow further our developer MVPs. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ollie.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Yeah, the MVP program is just amazing. The community is growing, and it's just amazing to see so many developers joining the community. And we're really growing at a very, very fast pace. Just the developer community alone is growing at an astonishing 40% each year. And we now have probably a little bit over 1,000 developers that are joined our overall Acumatica community site, and they're all participating. So if you haven't already, just make sure you reach out to Mark and join us in our effort to make this great technology go places it has never gone before. It sounded like Star Trek a little bit there, but a little bit about the technology update. You know, from a product perspective, you know, one of the goals for Acumatica has always been to deliver all the benefits of SaaS without its traditional drawbacks. And in order to be able to do that, you know, we came to the market at the right time where HTML had just matured, you know, HTML5, the cloud had matured. So we came at the right time, and we were able to spend an enormous amount of time building the foundations. When you think about Acumatica and the product, you know, we have 3 independent strategies overall. So number one, we have to be, you know, have the best-in-class functionality. Obviously, every ERP system has to have the base functionality like GL, AP, AR, and so on. But then, you know, we took that a step further with our industry focus, with our cross-module workflows, our integrated marketplace that we're working on, that includes all the ISV products. So just getting the functionality there and being, you know, top-notch functionality is obviously something we're going to continue to work on. And that's about 1/3 of our overall. When you think about our engineering focus and capacity, we're always building new functionality and pressing that bar you know, to its highest. Then we have this other pillar, which is all about superior user experience. And this is not necessarily 100% product. It's also policies and things that we do around to make that user experience great. So of course, you guys have seen our UI evolve over the years. We introduced several new UIs. And the last one was about 2.5 years ago, and you've seen Mike talk about our upcoming new UI. In fact, today you will see more of that and how the new UI is going to take us to new places, and it's going to make the product even easier to use. But you know, along with that, user experience is also more about, you know, how effectively can users get on the system and use the product quickly, right? Do they have the proper tools to onboard and get going quickly when they first purchase the software? Can they get assistance on demand. So you'll see us, we introduced the community was a good example of something that we introduced, but we're planning to do a lot more in this area and introduce new ways that you can have the community within the product to get support inside the product and even discover marketplace products within the solution itself. So a lot more focused on bringing the entire community within our application. And then finally, it's all about making sure that the community is all talking at the same level. So, we don't, when it's an awful experience when somebody comes on the community and says, hey, we're on version 2018 still. Anybody's still doing XYZ, right? So that's a big challenge for us. And we want to make sure that we're getting our customers to upgrade and stay on an always current program. So you've seen us make adjustments to that program, and you're going to see us continue to press the bar in this area. And what's interesting is when you think about what I initially said about, hey, all the benefits of SaaS without its drawbacks, that requires an unbelievable platform. And that's where a third of our focus approximately is. It's about keeping this technology that we all have and love modern, right? That means we need to continuously refactor code, improve the platform, even make it more extensible, focus on its extensibility, because we know we cannot be experts with every area of the product. And in order to deliver the promise of ERP, the platform has to be extensible. And I'll talk a lot more about this in a minute. And then, of course, we need to stay connected and use the best of breed applications, and then have a lot of these emerging technologies underneath that you kind of take for granted, but they're just there. So when you use our AP automation, for example, all those ML and recognition of the images and the text extracts that we do are part of those types of technologies. So let's take a little deeper dive on the modern technology, and then I'll let you guys learn a lot more about that in our sessions. If you can move the slide, please.
Yep.
All right, so when we think about modern technology, that itself has these 4 different buckets. Number one, we have to keep the platform modern, okay? So when people buy an ERP system today, they're actually buying the product for their next 20 to 30 years. On average, people switch ERP systems between 7 and 10 years. That's the industry norm. But we want to press that bar to 20 to 30 years. And in order to do that, we have to keep the platform modern. And that's why you see all our migrations, the work that we're doing on moving to .NET Core, the infrastructures, work that we're working on today. So we're today on AWS, but the product is built to be infrastructure agnostic. We're working on our container automation tools that even let you use technologies like Docker and other technologies to host the application in. And of course, we want to make sure that data is always accessible, whether it's OData or API or other means. Providing access to data is really, really key. But future-proof is just something that is always in the back of our mind, and we're always trying to modernize. Second, the entire premise of Acumatica and delivering promise of ERP is to have a strong foundation and have a XRP platform that is highly advanced and doesn't restrict you and allows you to create anything that you want, a white canvas that you can build almost anything. That's what makes Acumatica so amazing, even in a SaaS world. Now, with that comes some challenges as we continue to scale. So today, we have over 86% of our customers adopt our SaaS solution. Even though we provide private cloud and on-premise solutions, people are more and more want SaaS. They don't want to manage IT. They want us to manage their updates and upgrades. And we have to find ways to make sure that it's a safe environment for them to do that. So when we give power to you all as developers, we also have to make sure you know what you're doing so that you're building tools the right way and the systems the right way so that you can comply with our always current program, that you can address the needs of power users and also business users. So as part of that, you're going to see a lot of change over the next couple of years that we're going to improve a lot about our customization engine as a whole. So today, You use tools like Accumulator to test your code, go through static analysis and so forth. But you're going to see some of those tools move inside the product. And we'll be introducing programs like a Trusted Developer Program. And you'll be able to get new levels of MVPs and trusted certificates that when you publish customizations, you'll know, is it coming from a trusted developer or not? And the system is going to be doing these checks while you publish the customizations within the process. So we want to provide a lot of power to the right people that are trusted, but at the same time, make it easy for every type of user to use the system. And that's all about the democratization of technology. So even a power user or an administrator and non-developer should be able to continue to expand and personalize the system. And those are where low-code and no-code initiatives come in. It doesn't mean that we're going to make the platform more restrictive, because you see, we are going to continue to build the XRP platform, but it's also important to allow all the traditional power users to also be able to configure. And then finally, when you think about the connected cloud, you know, we've invested heavily over the last year in building an entire integrations team. So not only do we have a great ISV ecosystem, but we want to take the most common integrations that are out there, whether they're Avalara or Vertex or shipping solutions like EasyPost or ShipEngine or and et cetera. We want to bring those and make them native out of the box so that our customers don't have to depend on third parties when it comes to the most common type of solution. So you'll see us continue to evolve this area. We added things like Stripe integration that's under the hood today, and we're doing that, for example. And there's many, many more like Teams integration and several others. So you'll see that continue to happen. And then finally, the marketplace, as you all know it today, we want to open that up to every developer and be able to publish and share even non-certified code. Maybe it's a customization that you built for somebody, but you want a mechanism for people to be able to access it. And how do we make that easy? So you'll see a lot of progress over the next few years on the marketplace, how to discover products within the product, how to instantly get them provisioned and turn them on, test them in a sandbox if you want to, and then move on. So all this requires a lot of development, so I encourage you to do a lot of learning today. And with that, I will pass it back to Mark so we can get started with the sessions.
All right, just my little call to action, if you will. You know, as I talked before, you know, please start asking your bosses now to go to Summit, just to get them, you know, keep, you know, poking them a little bit here and there, you know, so you can participate in the hackathon and so forth. So, you know, these are the things that we really love you to be able to do. Also, if you'd like to submit a blog post, you can contact me about that. I'll review it and consider it for publication, even if you are not a developer MVP. And then make sure, you know, get a GitHub account and start, you know, spending time up on GitHub. We have a lot of great sample code that you can use, as I mentioned before, and also you can contribute to the projects that we have there, the open source projects. And then, as I said, you know, distinguish yourself as a developer MVP, and if you do that, you too could be a developer of the year. And then, you know, if you don't have a Stack Overflow account, I would encourage you to get one, so you can start asking and answering questions. And there's a lot of good information up there in terms of all, you know, kind of KB articles and previous, you know, you can search the questions and find them that they've been answered before. And then, of course, if you haven't done this, relatively new is our Acumatica community is for developers, which you can go there, community.acumatica.com. All right, and with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and we'll have Nyan